So I have a confession to make. I've been lying to you. Today will not be a day that we unlock the next space elevator part. Instead, it will be the day that we unlock our turbomotor factory. I also think I might try to make a factory or make it part of the same factory since I already have a motor factory. I'll try and make a factory that makes the new modular thing, which is going to bother me, so hang on one sec. The fused modular frame. Oh, and actually I could do one if I'm making turbo motors. Heat sinks aren't as important, but I could make, I think a turbo motor requires a cooling system, but I could make a station or a factory that does make heat sinks, cooling systems, fused modular frames, and turbo motors. Kind of a weird combo. But it's so crazy it could just work? Maybe? We'll find out. We do now have access to the Tier 3, the Mark III miner, but in order to build one, you do need these fused modular frames. They are rather complex to make. You can see that they need the heavy reinforced modular frames, 50 aluminum casings, and it looks like nitrogen gas. That's right, because you can only make them in a blender. Nitrogen gas isn't too hard. There's enough wells around. I'm not sure if there is a well near where I want to build this factory. So let's go take a look, shall we? Let's get this. All right, so thankfully I did kind of have this thought, this could be risky going around this, that when I was originally designing this rail, that I would do something here. This is just kind of a good area, so let's take a look around. Hang on one second, I'm going to delete those. Because back when I built the motor factory, I kind of left a bunch of stuff out here. Just haven't come back to tackle it. But I was thinking, and I am definitely stealing this idea from another player who kind of had this huge, I don't know how to even put it, is this giant wall factory right here that just kind of went across, looked like a big sci-fi dam. Really, really cool design. I was going to try to emulate that here. They are a much, much better designer than I am. But it was a neat idea, and that is why I kind of baked in a big straight area right here, was specifically so that I could kind of build it going across here. It'd kind of be a big curve. A lot of advantages to this particular area. I'm trying to remember everything that goes into turbo motors, but we've got at least 2 hydrothermal vents right there. There might be 3. I know there's at least 2. There's oil over there. There's iron over there. I want to say there's copper not too far from here. So you kind of have a nice cluster of stuff just around this area. And I think there's some things up there too. The only thing I think I'm lacking is that nitrogen node. So what I was going to do was put up a radar tower, probably maybe right there would be a good one. Let's see what is around us. I don't think there's too many nodes up here, so putting a radar tower down this way would be more advantageous. What might be really advantageous is to put it right here so that I know everything that's in the immediate area of where I'm planning on building this base. At least that is picking up motors now. So, yeah, come back in a bit, and I am going to slap a radar tower basically right there. So, yeah, Come back a sec. Well, there, I built the radar tower. Now I just need to run the power down. Probably the easiest thing to do would be to build a station, run the power off the station, and then run it up here. There is also, I want to say a quartz base isn't too far that way, but I don't want to run it there. But I want to get this Mercer sphere. Let me get around this guy. I don't think he can get to me. We'll find out real fast. All right, let's run this power down, do what I was saying we were gonna do, and gonna do it. All right, let's look at the map. What we got here? We got water there. One of the things we'll be lacking is bauxite. Yeah, so there's a copper node there that's impure. I think there's a pure one over here. Normal, that'll work. I want to say there's some sort of nitrogen node right up here. So I might go up to the compacted coal factory. It's a really high point anyway, and put a radar tower right there just to kind of get a sense for what's around here. I am not seeing nitrogen. I believe that's water. Yeah, that's water. Where's the nearest bauxite? Way down here. You can sort of see them right there. Okay. So aluminum might be a problem. We don't need aluminum to build turbo motors. There is a geyser there, geyser there, geyser there. So that's good. We can generate free power with those. So that's always nice. So it looks like there's actually a lake right up there, right where that waterfall's coming from. So we could just build a few geysers just to kind of bolster our power. We don't really need it. That's interesting. Our power should be higher than that and more consistent than that. So I might need to go and check on the nuke factory and make sure something isn't going haywire over there. Like I messed up my calculations or something. Who knows? Probably messed up my calculations. Anyway. Yeah, maybe another radar tower over by that base is a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just to kind of see what's around. I should have enough materials to do that. Back in a couple. So I just built a manufacturer just to kind of see what goes into a turbo motor. So we need 4 cooling systems, which need a heat sink and nitrogen gas. So we're definitely going to need the nitrogen gas, and we're definitely going to need the bauxite up here. Radio control unit requires aluminum casing, so we're going to need bauxite for that. Motors thankfully doesn't, and rubber is pretty easy. That was kind of surprising. No, I guess it does take motors. Remember that. For whatever reason I thought it used to take computers, but apparently not. But we definitely need aluminum in the mix. Thankfully, cooling system. I think heat sinks are Alcad plates, and radio control units are the casings. So we will actually need to make both. So we need a not small aluminum base in order to pull this off. I want to say, let's look at our map again. That's further than I thought. I was thinking there was some sort of bauxite up here, but it is a really far distance away. I mean, worst comes to worst, we can run it there anyway. That one's normal. I think this one's a pure. That one's normal. Impure. Normal. We could run it from there. There is a rail coming down here. This is sort of where we are, well, it is where we're building our computers. So I could have a rail that comes out here, and this right here is where I'm debating building the base. So that's actually not too far. Yeah, if I just had these two nodes just filling up a train and running it out to here, that could work. And we've got enough power now, we can just kind of do that. So, I mean, we could have the train just kind of run down this canyon and come in here, and that could even look cool. But I'm still going to go over to the compacted coal factory and see what we got there, because I'm pretty sure, man, I hope it's not a water node. I think there's a nitrogen node there. So we are going to go take a look. All right, so plugged in the radio tower there. What have we got over here? It's a little further out than I remember it. So we got nitrogen over here. We do have a normal SAM node there. That's good. I knew that we had coal down there. They're both impure. There's lots of metal and copper over here. That is a long, long distance to run gas. If I'm running it from there all the way to here, I don't know, maybe if I run it this way, it wouldn't be so bad. The good thing about gas is that you don't have the head lift problems that you have with liquids. So, I mean, I can run it a really long distance, basically run it out and around, and this is kind of a cool area to look out into the void. But I mean, I can run a gas pipe all the way over here, and it's not that big of a deal. It's a lot of pipe. I'll have to bring a lot of copper sheets, but I could do it. Now the question is, you can do it with trains and stuff, but that can be a little bit iffy with liquids and gas. Just you need to really time the trains right, so it's just easier to run the pipe. I think I will be tapping that bauxite node. Maybe that one. This isn't too far from each other, so maybe have those two lines come in, build a train station right here, or maybe even use CompUSA as the train station. I'd rather not, so maybe off the backside. I've got enough real estate over here. This is where I kind of have my quote-unquote weapons factory. I'm building all of my black powder and whatever it is, the thing that you make with black powder, up here. And there's another geothermal node there too. And two there. Man, maybe I should just go and try to build a bunch of geothermal nodes for constant power, because there's two there, there's one there, there's two there. There's three around here. So, I mean, that would be 6, 7. Did I already count that one? But there's a lot of geothermal nodes in this area. Might be an idea just to kind of prop up my power until I figure out what's going on with the nuke factory. Nuke factory should be fine, he said, as his famous last words. But yeah, I think I might do that. I'll build a base right here, tap that geyser, maybe tap these two geysers if I'm really feeling saucy, throw down a couple Mark III miners, and well, the thing is that the Mark III miners push out more ore than our belts can handle right now, I believe. With two normal nodes, maybe that's just a pure node. Well, I'll check that. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm going to build train station right here, run it kind of up and down this canyon to this base. Then we'll have our bauxite. There is, I did say there was water around here, right? Well, if there isn't, we've got water here, and we won't have head lift problems because this will be above the base. So we'll run the pipes down from there. And that should be enough to make a medium-sized aluminum factory easily. So let's do that. So thing number one is to tap this nitrogen node. I've already tapped that sulfur node for this base and this sulfur node. Oh, no, that one's for the power base out there. That's right. Man, and long ago. Okay, well, it sounds like I got a plan. That water is definitely deep enough for a couple water generators. So, yeah, let's get to it. Okay, just to kind of give you guys a sense for where I'm at and how big the map is. This is the radio tower I was just at, and that's factory over here. I'm going to grab this Mercer sphere in a second, but I am looking from here, so that is about half the distance to, yeah, I'd say almost half the distance to where I'm planning on building the base. So the pipe will run back along this backside. Need to be real careful because there's a lot of hogs, but I'll probably be down too low for them to see me. And then run it under this plateau. And then I believe, oh, actually, yeah, I could look at the towers here. I believe that tower is kind of what I'm aiming for. Unless I'm off. There might be one on the other side of this. Maybe. I think it's right over there. So basically we're going to be running the pipe right along there. And that'll get most of our resources there. Only thing will be...
Witness a single strand of the tapestry.
Alright, let's grab you.
I have something for you. It will establish a better way for us to communicate and deepen our understanding of one another. I've done the necessary developments on my end. The last note is yours to play.
Your symphony resonates. Your minute tapestry patterns beautifully.
Thank you. I worked very hard. I am organically transmitting the data package now. Any adverse effects on my blood will not corrupt its contents.
We hear this learning song.
See you on the other side.
It is time to tango.
They are flirting hard in Machinese. There's also uranium right there. I'm not sure the other resources to build a uranium base actually exist here. Again, this is even further removed from the bauxite and what I'd need to do aluminum. But I don't know, it's a thought. I could do the thing where I build a train station here or a bunch of belts, a miner, and just run it out. I'm not sure what the purity of that is. It's impure, so it wouldn't even be worth it. It does look like there's oil down here too. What are these purities? Normal, impure, impure. So those aren't really worth tapping either. So on with the quest. All right, and that is the lake we're gonna tap. And yeah, there's a geothermal right there. And a Mercer sphere and a lot of bees. Damn it, always the bees. Not the bees! But yeah, that's the big straight edge right there. So we got more than enough water here to build a water extractor for the aluminum. So that'll work. It's so pretty, I almost feel bad tapping it, but you know what? Maybe it shouldn't be so pretty. Yeah. All right. Got the resource well built and have power run to it. Did take a little bit of work to get the power around, but now that's there. I can go ahead and throw down the little nodes, which I have enough to do that. And then I just need to run the pipe back around the corner here. So I will do that once I have that thing there. Then it'll probably be running the bauxite line, since that's just setting up a train. I probably won't show you guys that part, but I'll start bringing all the different lines into that base and show you what it looks like there. Again, check back in a couple minutes. So maybe not the prettiest thing I've ever made, but I did run the pipe all the way over, trying to avoid these cows here. Yeah, it does run all the way over to the other base. So one thing down. Now we need to figure out the whole bauxite aluminum problem. You know what? I think it's time we unlock the next level of alien technology too. Let's see if I can do that. Ooh, hard drive scan's done. What do we got here? Insulated cable. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not a good one. Let's look. 6 inventory slots. Yeah, coated cable sounds like it sucks. 6 inventory slots it is. Let's look at alien technology. These always say fun things. I can't unlock that one yet because I don't have that other thing. Now, do we want to upload the speed? Well, actually, we might be able to do 2 of these. Let's do both of them.
Dimensional expansion increased to 400%. Parts can now be stored as elementary particles in a hyperdense deconfined state. Normally, I'd explain the basic science, but I don't think this one can be simplified enough for you to understand.
We composed a growth song, but you composed a shrink song, so we remain silent. The dance of your bones and organs and veins amuses us.
I understand. Seeing the pioneer perform tasks also amuses me.
Hey! Okay, hang on. I think I actually do have those in my... Yes, I do. Let's drop that in there. Cool.
Dimensional upload speed increased. The dimensional shift now no longer cares how complex the components of the original part are, and will save each part as a single collection of particles that can be instanced easily.
Grow shift the body core flow cycle song of the 5-layered shallow state.
I'm working on it, but are you saying there is another layer? Is it a sensor limitation?
Deepen.
Helpful.
Huh. All right. Yeah, so again, not the prettiest or most elegant solution, but it does get 600 milliliters of gas here to the location we need it. And then the next step will be getting the bauxite here, which again, I think I'll do by train. Train can move a lot of stuff, especially if I build it up. I might have 2 trains going at once to make sure that it keeps going, although this is not going to be a power base. This is going to be a item base. It's just going to be building the turbomotors and those frames, if I can still pull that off. I think I can pull that off. Might be a little tricky. We'll give it a shot. What I could probably start doing now, well, I guess I could build that infrastructure first. I think that fuel base is kind of right over there, so I could do that. But then I actually need to start building the factory itself, like the factory floor, building the shell so that I can put the things in it. This will be a sizable base because both turbomotors and those frames require pretty significant infrastructure in order to keep them going. But here we are. We had no choice in the matter. Okay, so let's take a little look at what's going on here. So, yeah, I haven't started filling this in yet because I'm still building out the factory. I did get turbomotors built, and I am bringing in more than I need to because I also want to build those other frames. So let me show you that real quick. So these two manufacturers are building turbo motors, not building them too fast. And if I recall, it is because the motors aren't producing particularly fast. So I might need to pick that up a little bit. But I was, or still am, going to also build these fused modular frames here. The trick is that I have to produce heavy modular frames. And the catch with heavy modular frames, if you remember the gigantic pyramid over there that is the steel factory, I basically have to build 1/4 of that or 1/3 of that just to build those fused modular frames. So you might see there are trains coming in from everywhere. So I've got a train coming from over there. I've got a train coming from here. I've got belts on either side of that track. I've got a belt on the side of this track. So what is going on here? So let's go down a level. So there are a few production lines coming in, and there's a few factories that I've set up over on the almost the far side of the map here. I'll show you. So looking at all of this mess, I've tapped most of the things around here. I'm right there. I've tapped this coal mine. There is another pier there that I am probably going to have to tap to make the fused modular frames, because they'll be required to make those heavy modular frames. I tapped this bauxite line. Is this pier too? No, that's just normal. I tapped a copper node. I tapped a lot of things, people. Yeah, I tapped these two guys over here. I tapped crystal lines over here. It's been a wild ride. Anyway, you got all sorts of things coming in here and delivering, and it's all just to make turbo motors. Like, turbo motors are an extremely complex thing. So let's kind of go through it. So let's start back here. So first you have to have aluminum for making oh, I did not put the, let's fix that. Goodness. You need to make both Alcad sheets, and you need to make the casings. So I have the casings are being produced right here, and they are going to two different things. They're going to heat sinks, which are being made right there, and I've got a group going over, and they go into the fused modular frames. Thankfully, I'm overproducing casings specifically for that reason. So they go into making heat sinks. Now, heat sinks require computers, heat sinks, and I got another one right there. Computers, crystal oscillators. So crystal oscillators are a really weird one, and that train right there is bringing them down. One of these trains is bringing them in. I think it's this one right here. This train is making crystal oscillators way up in those trees. I built another factory right there that just does crystal oscillators and brings them down so that I can do this. And those radio control units go into making, you can sort of see that there's a surplus of them there, which I was debating making a surplus of these because they go into other things, to go into just kind of my general store, so I have it available. But that feeds into that manufacturer, and that makes your turbo motors. But as you can see, you got to make heat sinks, which are right here, and they take aluminum sheets and copper sheets, and they make the heat sinks. And then the heat sinks go into this, rubber goes into this, so you have rubber, plastic, all kinds of nightmare stuff. So let's go up a level. We'll look up here. So all of this is kind of building the tier 2 stuff, and then this is the tier 3 stuff up here. So those are cooling units, which now that I think about it, I probably want the surplus going into storage there. And it is kind of funny that this is the one that I'm backed up on, and motors are the ones that I'm having problems overproducing right now. Like, I probably needed to double or triple this and have this, but it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, so these guys are taking in, let's see, motors, nitrogen gas, and what's the other thing? Heat sinks. Yeah, so this is where the heat sinks are going. And then motors and rotors go into making motors, or stators and rotors go into making motors. So you have to have that whole loop in here. Got to have wires and pipes making the stators. So you got to have a whole copper production here, and that's what this is. And you got to have this partial steel production to make the pipes. So that's what this is. So yeah, and then you got to start piping in wire and or piping in water, piping in the nitrogen gas. Yeah, this is a pretty complicated setup. But at the end of the day, it's what you got to do to get turbo motors. It's not producing them very quickly, but it is producing them. And motors, again, are the issue. What I might do is, since my motor base is over there, instead of having motors go all the way back to my main base, I might have the main train, which is this line, drop off motors here, and then build the super motors, or the turbo motors. Might be worth more of my time, because later stages require more turbo motors than motors. And, yeah, I would assume anything that is surplus motors would go back to the main base, which is fine by me. With that said, this episode, this building this side of the base took a couple weeks, or like a week and a half. And granted, part of that was CitizenCon, and it's still not 100% there. I do want to overproduce motors, but, yeah, building these fused modular frames will probably be the next episode. Then we'll start unlocking the next level of the space elevator with all of the phase 4 stuff up there. We have most of it. We can build it pretty quick. About the only tricky one would be nuclear pasta, primarily because we don't have this production facility up and running. And I could fake it by just putting like a storage bin right here, filling it with those heavy modular frames, and then it would just produce the things. And I might do that just to get to the next stage, because there might be things in the next phase of the space elevator that make this whole thing way easier to do, which is usually how it goes. So that's all I got for this one, gang. Hell of a factory here. Can't wait to pretty it up. But until then, catch me next time. Okay. I lied. We're doing it live. And by live, I mean pre-recorded and edited. Other than that, completely live. Here we go. Got everything done. Did not take that long. Kind of like I was saying, the hardest thing were these, actually, which one was it? I think it was this one. The engines required the most stuff. This, I was already kind of producing the fused, these things, the fused modular frames. Basically just had it where I was manually dumping in the heavy reinforced frames, but I produced so many of those that that's not a problem for me. Nitrogen gas is easy. The aluminum casings are easy. So I only had to make 100 of those. This is the one, or one of these. This one was probably the hardest. But let's do this. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Last tier.
Welcome to the Pioneers Got Power Problems presentation. That was a joke. Anyway, you're familiar with the process. Just throw the lever and the automated systems will take over. Imagine all the time and effort that would be wasted if you had to do all that work as well. Some work is just better suited for machines. Phase 5 contains technology the human brain cannot comprehend, so just trust in me and fix-it policy and everything will go as planned. Answering all your questions will take time we simply do not have. Everything is going to be just fine, so long as you do your job. We've come this far together after all, haven't we? Anyway, you know what to do. Just don't forget to keep producing previous project parts, and plan ahead when setting up new production lines, and make sure not to leave it all until the last moment.
All right, here we go. Just need to fire our load up the shaft. Here's celebrating too. It's weird that it disappears sometimes. There we go. Guess it's clouds.
Phase 4 of project assembly completed. If style was measured in my performance reports, yours would be something special. Regardless, saving the day is within our grasp. Do not lose focus now. You must understand the weight on your shoulders, but you are not alone. I am here, and I know exactly what's at stake. This goes beyond Earth. Your actions will affect the universe at large. You might think I am exaggerating. Perhaps you will understand once you finish project assembly. Phase 5 awaits. I expect your best work.
Looks like it's making a generation ship or something like that, although they've clearly got like pocket dimensions. But that looks like engines on a ship. That looks like a fuselage right there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bridge up here. Like this whole thing is going to rotate like 15 degrees so it's in line and then drop it in. You can kind of see the arms there. Oh, man. So, yeah, I have never seen the stuff that's in this next tier. So, good God, you can sort of see the things that we have to make there next. So let's see if it talks about nuclear pasta. So, again, that's something we can do. Biochemical sculptor. AI expansion server. Ballistic warp drive. Woof. Okay. We'll get it next time.